Hi, y'all. It's Bridget Cutshaw with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Laurie Whetstone. She is an author, certified health coach, and yoga instructor, entrepreneur, retired Wall Street executive, single mom, small business owner, and a U.S. Army veteran. You have a lot on your plate, a lot of great experience. Can you say hi, Laurie?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Brigitte.
I really appreciate the time you're taking, and I know you've got a lot on your plate, and it's really exciting to talk to other women who've had to deal with a lot of challenges, and you're a great example of how to deal with it, I think. And you've got to take a pause and figure out a way through. You got to have a plan. And you had mentioned before I started recording that you had became a small business owner because of COVID and you had children to deal with. And that was really difficult with your other role.
Right.
And how was that hard on your family or, I'm saying to make that switch. I'm sure it was hard.
Yeah, no, change is hard, right? And what was going on? It was after a couple of decades as a corporate exec on Wall Street. My two teens, because I'm a single mom, I used to travel 200 days a year, Bridget. So,
A
you
lot.
know, traveling, single mom, teenagers, and shared custody, all these things. But the kids being locked down like that and at those ages, I think they did the worst of all of us, right, during that period of time. So, something had to give. Something had to give. And I had a 5-year exit plan that to do what I'm doing now. And all I did is moved up the timeline, you know. And I'll say that the best decision I could have made for me and for them was taking off, leaving my career in the fall of 2020. Because 6 months later, after me being there all the time, you think teenagers, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, what are you around all the time for? But remember, we were all locked down together all the time. In 6 months, there we were all closer than we'd ever been in our lives. We were healthier and happier. So I wouldn't trade it for anything. And now it's just me with these business startups, making those work. And now I'm becoming the empty nester because the oldest is going off to college
Wow.
next month already.
Wow. I know that's very difficult. And do you have boys and girls or I didn't know which sex they were or,
Yeah, I have one of each. So
okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Right. I
it's
have two boys and I survived them. So
yeah,
they're different. You know what I'm saying? The personalities are a little, I meant the gender, I should say. Boys are riskier. I'm sure you understand that. You've seen that. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
in a good way. And girls, in my whole family, we have mostly boys, which is kind of funny. And my mother was the only girl in her family, right? She's got three brothers, so she was the oldest. So I
Yeah.
learned a lot of the resilience from her. And I'm sure your background, you were surrounded and saw some good role models as well. And I think you did the right thing. You knew your kids needed you during that time. And
Mhm.
as a mom, you did the right thing. And what interests me, your small businesses, one is like health coaching. Did you become certified during COVID or was it prior to COVID? I was just curious.
So the way that holistic wellness design was born is, throughout my adult life, Bridget, I was always the person that was either doing some athletic pursuit. I've done like a bunch of Spartan races and, or I was, the person that everybody called for the new diet plan or the keto and the this and the that, or it would be hey, what about this? Have you tried this cleanse or, these supplements? So I was always already that person.
Okay.
I did get certified once I left Wall Street, because remember, I left, and then after I think unwinding for about 6 months and getting acclimated to not being on what we call the hamster wheel, the
Right.
corporate hamster wheel, uh, launching the wellness business. And the wellness business is literally just coming up on its year, or actually we're a year old now. And so the concept for what the business actually was going to do, has sort of evolved as businesses do. But I'm happy to say that, we've helped out both individuals and businesses, that leaders that want to change either something about their lives or themselves, or something that they know about their businesses. And often I find the two are intertwined, right?
That's a
If
good
you're a
point.
leader
Yes.
and you have issues in your business, it may very well be affecting your life and vice versa.
Right. That's really a good point that they are intertwined and people don't think about that. And I
Mhm.
think change is happening, always has. And I think that's at some point with what happened to COVID, I think it amplified because we had some drastic change that we needed to do. And uh, in hindsight, yeah, I think everybody's learning from that experience. And you definitely made a huge pivot to help your family, to help your children.
Mhm.
At the same time, you're using your business experience to pass that information or lessons on advice onto people. And what do you think, do you have the most? I just maybe because I know you have two businesses. What is the one that sparks you the most? I'm just curious.
Mm. Well, I actually have three
Oh,
businesses.
three. Okay. I thought you had two.
So, yeah, if you're me and you're sort of leaving this huge career, not even anywhere near done, right? I wasn't at the end of my career. Um, I started three businesses with a couple of ideas in mind. One idea was I wanted three part-time businesses, but if you've ever started a business or you're a startup founder, you know that it doesn't turn into part-time until you sort of have built it up and scaled it. So
Right.
so that was one thing. And then I also thought I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket because 9 out of 10 startups are start downs. So the three businesses are I have Whetstone Group Holdings. We do business consulting to help businesses grow. And it literally, we have no website, we have no social media, we have no marketing, we have nothing. It is all word of mouth, and it's all based on friends and friends of friends calling and saying, we've got this business problem. We don't know how to solve it, whether it's, fractional COO services. I mean, I've done everything from marketing and communications plans to, preparing for key investor meetings to, redoing pricing structure. So pretty much, problem solving for your business. And then the second business I launched was what I realize is going to be my actual retirement plan, because I'm clearly not retired right now, even though I've retired from Wall Street.
Right.
Um, it's called the Musings of LW. It's a lifestyle blog. And it's one of these things, Bridget, where in my former career, there's a lot of relationship, development and management and nurturing. And so there's lots of stories being told as you get to know people, just like we're doing now. And
Right.
my friend said, gosh, you have the most interesting stories or the most inspirational stories or the funniest stories. You've got to write these down. And people have been
Yes.
telling me this for so many years. And I finally said, okay, fine. Now I finally have the bandwidth to do that. So that's my passion project. That's writing. It's just, I just barely got it started. But here is, Laurie's naivete coming from the, corporate world into the digital world. And I thought, if I build it, they will come. And so I built it. I built the blog. We've got a website. We've got an e-commerce store, and we've got like a library with books and images and all kinds of fun stuff on the website. And then I started learning about how competitive the digital world is, and it's not if you build it, they will come. So I thought, oh my goodness, let's go to phase three, business number three, which is the one I am working on, holistic wellness design. And that is basically evolved into the intersection between, business consulting and executive wellness coaching, because like we just talked about, I'm finding that when I go in to help a business solve their business problem, oftentimes the business leader has at least a pattern or multiple patterns or habits and ways of dealing with stuff that is affecting the business, and or
Yes.
vice versa, right? And so you can't, if you can get the best of both and put them together, that's what holistic wellness design is. So it's very different. It's not coaching and because I know that that's a very competitive industry.
Yes.
We're
Right.
doing something very, very different and very
About helping
targeted.
leadership. It sounds like helping leadership and figure out how to fix their problem or problems.
That's right.
And that's really good that you're doing that. I think your other stuff will grow. Your musings, people like to read that. And I think writing is therapeutic for most people. And I think people like to just hear other stories and they'll connect with you. And I think you have some credibility with your most recent company because of your background in the executive world, and you understand what they're dealing with. So that helps you have empathy. Is that
Mhm.
the right word? And I think it's really cool that you're doing that, and you'll figure it out. Like you said, 9 out of 10 companies don't push through. And I think I don't know, I just love to hear stories like this. And you have a lot of tenacity, a lot of resilience. And what, because you're talking about your musings of LW, what are you mostly writing about? I'm just curious in that regard. What are you mostly sharing on your blog?
Yeah, so the blog is focused on three areas right now, but I didn't want to call it lauriewhetstone.com, which is what everyone else has. They have their website name with a .com on it. And people said, well, that's just much more versatile. And I said, I don't want to do that. So
Right.
I named it the Musings of LW because it could be whatever I feel like writing about. Right now, the focus of the Musings of LW are personal development stories. There's stories about wellness, and then there's stories about adventure travel, because not just so my corporate travel, remember, Wall Street, corporate travel, a couple of decades, the nicest resorts and restaurants in the United States is what we did, right? And golf and, all the rest of it. And so the stories are not written about that. The stories are written about, Laurie Whetstone flying a fighter jet, Laurie Whetstone sailing adventure in the Sea of Cortez, or Laurie, when I bushwhacked through the jungles of Thailand. So it's adventure travel. But within those travel stories, you learn lessons about life because they're about challenge and opportunity and joy and pain and struggle and triumph and all the things.
Right. I like the idea of you're focusing on stories because people are going to resonate with that rather than just telling them stuff, right? Just the details, but you're having a lot of good experiences. I want to kind of go back to why you decided to join the Army when you were young, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so what prompted you to do that?
Mm-hmm. That's a big story. That
Yes,
is.
I think you can squeeze that one in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So um, by the time I was 18, I had lived in 20 different places. I had a very traumatic childhood, and that will be coming out in one of my, first books when I get to the point of publishing a book. And and I was literally, from a very poor family as well. And I was sitting watching TV and I heard the commercial, as corny as it sounds, be all you can be. And the commercial said that they would pay for you to go to college.
Okay.
And that was it. I was like, I don't know how else I'm going to get out of where I am and this, crazy childhood that I've had. And I thought that's my ticket. And so that's what I did. I chose to, be stationed in Germany. I was 18 years old. I'd never been out of the country. I lived in Germany for 3 years. I got out. They paid for me to go to a private university,
Wow.
graduated with, a bachelor's in economics, and then set foot on Wall Street and started trading currency and energy futures at a
That is,
tender age. Yeah. And
it's
so, and then
amazing.
here we are.
That's amazing that you did that. They saw that you had potential. And I see a common pattern here with people like you are very successful, even though you have bumps in the road. You had to work hard. There wasn't a shortcut to anything. And I think that's what people I think need to realize that. It helps that you had a plan. It's really cool that you did that. Now I was a military brat. I think I told you that. So I never wanted to be because I was around it and I grew around it, but that was a different kind of role. And but I saw that it did help my father, it helped my mother, and my brother and I were like, no, thank you. But but we both were successful as well too. But then I think just in general, uh helping your country first probably helped taught you some lessons you weren't aware of. And I think it's not as common now, though. Do they do that? I don't know if they still do that, pay for your college in the military. I have no idea if they do that anymore still.
I think the plans change, they evolve through time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think my husband was in the military and they offered it for him and he didn't want to go to I think it was West Point, and he said, no, thank you. So he just met me. And he never told me about all this stuff. He thought he would lose me because when you do something like that kind of school, you can't have really, it's not supposed to have a girlfriend. And well, if you're a male, you can't have a partner, whatever. You're supposed to focus on study. But I just think it's so fascinating. I love your, I think I'm seeing all these vivid stories about you. And I think you're writing a book would be awesome. And you're going to be very successful with one of these businesses. I know that because you
Thank
understand what it takes,
you.
especially with Wall Street. You see a lot of things that people aren't aware of. I have a business degree, but you've seen things that I have not seen, right?
There
And
are more stories for sure.
yes, there's so much there. And I wanted to always be in writing, so I got a business degree, but I got marketing and then economics is I have two majors, whatever, but I kind of was told I shouldn't be a writer, which, which I think is whatever. I think that's what people should not give their opinion too much. If you want to do it, you'll find a way to do it, right? And now I got into the publishing world and here I am hosting a podcast. And but that's because I have a passion for it. And you have a passion for helping people with your knowledge, businesses, and how your health is involved. I think your health has so much to do with your results. Has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's mindset and outlook and attitude,
Yes.
perspective. And it's but at the end of the day, if we don't have our health, you don't have success in your business, you don't have success in your relationships, you don't have, success really anywhere because you're just, mired down in your health issues. So
Yes, I am totally on the same page with you on that. I've said that before. I think some people can get sick because they ignore their health and they focus too much on the finish line rather than a plan. They push
it's
themselves too
common.
hard. Yeah, they causing issues. I
Yeah.
mean, the world is not perfect. Your life is not perfect. And I think it helped that you had some good support. Obviously, you had good support. People, you have some good friends who are helping you through all this. And being a single mom, I haven't personally experienced that, but my mother did. You know what I'm saying? So as a child, I saw that. And so I understand from the child's perspective how it was on my mom and how it probably is on your children. I don't know how long you've been a single parent, but I'm sure that they're going to be, they're seeing you what you're doing. You're being a good role model for them, and you have to be there for them. And I don't know how much longer your younger child will be there in your house. How much younger is the younger child?
He turned 17 in October.
Oh, it's probably for maybe another year or two. Yeah.
On the home stretch here.
Yeah. Good and bad. And it's hard at the same time. But again, change is normal, but then you have to look at it in a positive way. And I think you've looked at it. And I think it helps you to get through the bad stuff when you acknowledge it, but then you look at the positive, something, what good is going to come out of it. And that's what always helped me out of certain situations.
Yeah. I call
And
that perspective shifting.
yes, I like that.
Yeah, when I work with clients, because listen, we all have problems. Life is full of challenges. Life is full
Right.
of problems. But if you just focus on the problems, then that's what you're going to see, and that's what you're going to feel, and that's what you're going to experience in your life. But on the other side of a problem, there's either one or multiple solutions. And if you're not even to the solution yet, and you're just like, well, I don't see my way out of it, then there is something else in the problem that is a silver lining, like even a crumb, a speck. Like you hear the people that are in wartime and they're POWs, right? But if all of our problems, if there's a tiny shred of some silver lining, then I call that perspective shifting. Just shift your perspective and be grateful for that, whatever that tiny thing is.
Correct. Right. There are just so many things. I like to talk about focusing on the moment when I can. I find that important. And you do a lot of yoga, and I was going to do yoga certification, but then COVID hit, and you're supposed to, for what I was doing, I had to go in person, and they shut everything down to
Yeah, I
do.
actually did my certification virtually. It was the
Right.
first.
Well, the program I had, but it's not a big deal. But I learned so much. Yeah, you got to be in the moment, and I think um, it just helps you like have some gratitude, and like you said, find that little crumb that you need to be grateful for. And I I just love that what you're doing, and you're just so open. And I think, you know, as a single mom, what is, do you think, the best advice for those other single moms out there? One little crumb of advice that we haven't brought up yet. It's a tough question, I'm sure.
Yeah, I especially going through, what you do, not just as a single mom, but the teenage years. I think were way tougher than the baby years or the top or any of the other
Right,
ages.
right,
Just because it's just how it's just what it is. But with my fellow single moms out there, we don't give up, and we just need to be grateful for the fact that we have our children, and that they're here with us, happy, healthy. And if you're in a place where me and my children where they're not healthy and happy, you'll figure it out. You make the changes,
right,
you make decisions and make choices that will, help all of you get to the place where you want to be. You don't just stay where you are. Um, and we can all do it, whether you have support or you don't have support. Um, you know, just make the choice and make the decision. And yeah, you can do it. We're strong, we're resilient. The kids are strong and resilient. And I think these days people my age say that, oh, the children are so much more, coddled than when we were younger. We just, our parents never even knew where we were, right?
right, exactly.
So I think also another something else I can give just about life is look at things with a sense of humor. I mean, the darkest days, you just sometimes have to snap yourself out of that, because like I said, there's always problems, there's always crises, challenges, what have you. If you can't perspective shift, at least make a joke out of it, just try to laugh, try to have some fun, try to enjoy those children, try to enjoy the moments like you were talking about.
Right. I think that's really great advice. You're shifting your perspective, or perspective shifting. That's what you said earlier. But I like that. And I just maybe these things, memories are popping into my brain as you were talking. And I'm just so grateful for every experience. And, I've dealt with cancer, but I made jokes. I had to make jokes because it helped me um, get through it. And I'm still here, right? And you just don't know. And be grateful. And that's one of the reasons why I like dogs too, because dogs remind you to be in the moment. That's something that was my mantra, I think, going through the last cancer treatment. Be in the moment, right? Be grateful for what you have. And I'm so grateful for even the bad experiences because you got to go learn from them, right? That's kind of how I think it's awesome. I think you're a great inspiration for other women. I think it's beautiful that you shared your story. And where can people learn more about you, Laurie? Where can they find you if they want to connect?
Yeah, thanks, Bridget. It was really my honor to be here and to be on your podcast and to share a few thoughts with your listeners. You can find me at holisticwellnessdesign.com, or you can go to my LinkedIn page, Laurie Whetstone on LinkedIn. Those are the two best places to find me.
That's awesome. And for those that are listening, I'll have the links included in the description below. And I think, Laurie is just a great role model for other women and just for parents in general, single parents. I think it's just beautiful and how brave you are to share your story. And I thank you again for your time.
All right, Bridget. Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.